September 24, 1877, on a rain-soaked hill called Shiroyama, a legend was about to meet its end. Imagine this, just 500 samurai, armed with traditional swords and a few old muskets, staring down an army of 30,000 Imperial Japanese soldiers. These soldiers weren't just numerous. They were armed with modern rifles, artillery, and Gatling guns. It was a scene straight out of a movie, but for the men on that hill, it was terrifyingly real. This wasn't just any battle. This was the final stand of the samurai, led by the legendary Saigō Takamori. But how did it come to this? How did the revered warrior class of Japan end up cornered on a single hillside, facing impossible odds? To understand this epic last stand, we have to rewind a bit. For centuries, the samurai were the heart and soul of Japan. They were the ruling military class, a symbol of honor, discipline, and martial prowess. Their lives were governed by the code of bushidō, and their loyalty was to their daimyo, their feudal lords. They were the peacekeepers, the administrators, and elite warriors of a nation that had been closed off to the rest of the world for over 200 years. But in the mid-19th century, everything changed. The black ships of Commodore Perry arrived from America, forcing Japan to open its ports and trade with the West. This shockwave triggered a revolution. The old shogunate government crumbled, and power was returned to the emperor in what's known as the Meiji Restoration. The new Meiji government was on a mission to modernize Japan at lightning speed. They wanted a modern, Western-style army, a centralized government, and an industrial economy. And in this new Japan, there was no place for a privileged warrior class. The samurai's top-knot hairstyle was outlawed. They were forbidden from carrying their swords in public, and their stipends were taken away. Everything that defined them was stripped away. You can imagine how they felt. Their entire way of life, centuries of tradition, was being erased. Many samurai adapted, becoming businessmen, politicians, or officers in the new army, but others couldn't accept it. They felt betrayed, and their frustration found a leader in one of the most respected figures in Japan, Saigō Takamori. Ironically, Saigō was one of the key leaders who helped establish the new Meiji government. He was a hero, a giant of a man, both in stature and reputation, but he became disillusioned with the new government's direction. He believed they were abandoning the true spirit of Japan, so he resigned and returned to his home province of Satsuma, where he started military academies for disgruntled samurai. This wasn't initially a rebellion. It was about preserving the old ways, but tensions boiled over. The government saw these samurai as a threat, and a series of conflicts erupted, culminating in the Satsuma Rebellion. For months, Saigō's army of traditionalist samurai fought against the new Imperial Army. Despite some early victories, they were consistently pushed back by the sheer numbers and superior firepower of the modern military. And that brings us back to that rainy hill, Shiroyama. After months of fighting and retreating, Saigō's forces had been decimated. Only a few hundred loyal followers remained. Surrounded and with no hope of escape, they knew this was their final battle. As dawn broke, the Imperial Army launched its final assault. Artillery shells rained down, and thousands of soldiers charged up the hill. The samurai, with a final, defiant roar, drew their katanas and charged. It was a heroic, but ultimately doomed assault. They were cut down by modern rifle and Gatling gunfire. In the brutal, close-quarters fighting that followed, nearly every samurai, including Saigō Takamori, was killed. The Battle of Shiroyama marked the definitive end of the samurai as a military force. It was the brutal, tragic climax of a clash between tradition and modernity. But while the battle ended their reign, it cemented their legend. The story of Saigō and his final, courageous charge has inspired Japan for generations, a powerful symbol of loyalty, honor, and sacrificing everything for what you believe in. The samurai class was gone, but their spirit, the soul of the warrior, lives on in the heart of Japan. Thanks for joining us on this journey back in time. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss our next historical deep dive. Until next time.